And we're live on the air here on Google Hangouts. I think I might have actually got that right this week.
We're
That would
live.
be, yeah, live on the Google Hangouts talking professional wrestling. I am James Forbath. You are hanging on the moon with myself and my co-host, newly minted last week, Josh Lopez. Josh, say hello to the people.
What's up, everybody from Chicago? How's things going up there in Canada?
Everything is peachy in Canada. The Raptors have new uniforms. I don't like them, but now I don't have to worry about that because I talk professional wrestling.
Hey, don't
So,
don't worry about the Knicks shirt. This is off the bat, guys. In case you're wondering, I am a
yeah,
Bulls fan.
Chicago, Illinois, that is not really kosher to be wearing down the streets there in Chicago, Illinois. What is with that? I mean, CM Punk does not support the Bulls. He supports the Blackhawks. But I want to see CM Punk at a Bulls game. But
He
that said,
supports the Bears.
yeah, the Bears, he doesn't really support them either. What's with that, CM Punk? You can't
No,
just
the
support
Spurs
one
could be pretty
team.
good here in the next couple of years for all teams. Well, maybe except the White Sox and Cubs, but
Well, he does support the Cubs. But anyway,
yeah,
CM Punk will not be at SummerSlam. He will
no.
not be at TNA Wrestling,
He might be
which
on Raw next week.
yeah, I won't hold my breath for that. But let's someone else who won't be on TNA Wrestling is Alberto Del Rio. That's how we started the show last week. The news of him being fired from the WWE. Now news that he is going to be on Triple Mania, which is a big show for the Mexican promotion AAA. If you're not aware of it, it is their WrestleMania really for that promotion, and that promotion is run by Conan. So interesting to see that Del Rio didn't waste any time. It looks like he's going to be with AAA, and that's a good move for them. Who AAA has been rumored to be coming to the U.S. So Del Rio obviously a good fit for that, and they were also hoping to have Rey Mysterio. It's rumored, and Ray, of course, is tied up with all his contract trouble with the WWE. So this kind of worked out well for AAA wrestling.
It's interesting. Speaking of AAA, and I heard Conan's remarks about, oh, WWE needs to get rid of Mysterio's contract already, and then he calls the WWE being racist. But speaking as a Latino, as myself, I'm Puerto Rican for those who don't know. But it's looking how ironic that Conan's actually promoting his biggest show of the year while at the same time calling WWE racist. I just thought that was bad publicity.
Well, it is what it is. I mean, Conan is never short of an opinion,
Yeah.
and I love the guy because he promoted this very blog on MLW Radio. So I
Nice.
have much love for Conan because when we first started out, I had done a post on all the various podcasts that I listened to on wrestling, one
Mhm.
of which was MLW Radio, and Conan decided to read my review of MLW Radio on their program, which was a huge shot in the arm for the start of Condo on the Moon. So we got mad love for Conan here. Don't speak badly of Conan.
I'm not speaking badly of him. I had respect for him as a wrestler. I like his stuff he does on MLW. I just thought it's kind of ironic how he said it during the time of this event that's going on.
Hey, it is what it is. Conan's good in my book, so we'll just leave it at that. Also, big news: Spike TV, they are moving now to Wednesdays. Josh will now have to come here on Thursdays and go cover
Yeah.
TNA wrestling on Wednesday nights. So that's not making your world any easier, Josh.
Yeah, so for all you guys say that there's too much wrestling on TV, I go from Monday, I go from Tuesday, I go from Wednesday now with TNA, and who knows whenever SmackDown's moving to Thursdays. So yeah, 4 days in a row of pure wrestling, minus the pay-per-views.
Yeah, well, this is the life.
Yeah.
Wrestling is becoming rapidly like all professional sports, where it's just
Hmm.
a 24-hour news cycle that never seems to stop, and it's
Yeah.
really interesting. And of course, the big news a few weeks back, before Josh was on the program, the whole idea that Spike TV is not renewing with TNA, and this move is kind of interesting in that regard because I actually think this is a smart move on the part of Spike TV programming wise
Mm-hmm.
because NFL football is expanding their Thursday night package to include CBS now. So a lot more people will be able to watch NFL games on a Thursday night, and as a result, the NFL schedule makers have tried to make that game more compelling. We'll see how they do with that. But obviously, for a company like TNA to compete with the NFL, it's not the same as the WWE trying to compete with the NFL,
Yeah.
which I would even question about their rumored move to Thursday nights and having SmackDown there. That might not be the wisest decision for the WWE right now, but that remains to be seen. But as far as TNA goes, Wednesday, you know what? It's not as bad as it seems. But that said, with their contract coming to an end and all of the problems they have, I wonder, how that affects them being able to keep their numbers in their final months with Spike TV, with the show moving to a different night. All those hardcore loyal people will definitely find it. They always have. But if they're trying to get a spike in their numbers, and from what I hear, I don't watch it because I'm covering NXT for Between the Ropes. But even if I wasn't, I'm not inclined to watch Impact very often. Uh, the show has been better lately, Josh. That's the word on the
Yeah.
street. You cover it every week. You would attest to that?
Yes, I would attest to that more from the mid card stuff from TNA than I would the main event scene because TNA does what TNA does, give everything away before it actually happens on television. So with that, speaking of like the whole Wednesday night thing, I think it actually helped Spike TV and TNA. It's kind of like that middle day throughout the week. Everybody's kind of relaxing a little bit more, recovering for the weekend and getting back to the regular work schedule, all that good stuff. And I don't know if it's going to be the best decision for them in the long-term future to be on Wednesdays, or I would have done have TNA be on Tuesday nights.
Or is it just a case of, you know what, we've tried TNA on Saturday night, we tried it
Yes.
on Thursday, we tried a little Monday,
Hmm.
I think they were on Fridays too for a while. I mean, they pretty much run the gambit of the days of the week. And at the end of the day, the rating always comes back the same pretty much. And I just don't know if it makes a difference. I mean, and that's the whole thing with TNA. Whether you hate it, whether you love it, I think the proof is there with their numbers that they pretty much stay flatline. They don't. Nothing moves the dial for them. They've had Hulk Hogan. They've had Booker T. They've had Christian.
Christian,
They've
yeah.
had. We could go on for days about all the opportunities and people they've had.
Big Papa Pump.
Yeah, and it just nothing has done it for that company. They just don't
No.
move the dial, and I think at the end of the day, some people might be sad about them going away. I'm personally not. They've had more than their opportunity to have success, and they haven't delivered. It just is that simple.
What I found interesting about this, I heard an interview with Paul Heyman and Errol Helwani when they were talking about TNA and why they haven't taken that next step. And Paul Heyman's talking about how they've never done anything original in the 12 years they've been in business besides the X Division or the six-sided ring. So with that, you look at how they've been trying to promote the ECW old timers on show, the ECW nostalgia theme of TNA over the last couple weeks. If you're gonna do ECW stuff, do it when ECW was on air at 4 o'clock in the morning in a random television station. Or if you're gonna try to be like WCW Thunder, be like WCW. If you're gonna try to be like WWE and compete with them on Monday night, be on Monday night. Make
Oh,
up your
don't be
mind.
like Thunder. That was a horrible show. The
It's
only
either that or Saturday night.
the only good Thunder show was the show when Kevin Nash was losing the booking privileges and
Yes.
came on and booked himself on commentary. Now that is an episode of Thunder I recommend you check out. It is not on the WWE Network as of yet for $9.99, and we'll get into $9.99 plugs later on when we talk WWE. But that was a Thunder to remember with Kevin Nash, who was making an appearance on Raw this week as well for Hulk Hogan's big birthday, and we'll get to that in a bit as well. But the other news of the week that was big news for me personally, because I like the guy. I got to meet him in May, and I think he's a heck of a wrestling talent. Kevin Steen
Yeah.
finally, officially, is not just going to help out the orphans with El Generico. He is shaking hands with Triple H and has signed a WWE contract. To a nicer guy, this could not happen. And boy, oh boy, NXT is about to get very interesting
Hmm.
with now Kevin Steen, Prince Devitt, and Kenta all in the fold and debuting. We're not sure when, but there'll be a lot of speculation, a lot of interest to how, if at all, they're part of that September 11th special event that they're going to have for NXT. Because I think a lot of the hardcore wrestling fans that watch NXT will be expecting to see one, two, or all three of those guys somewhere on that show.
Yeah, I find it really interesting too. Speaking of the guy who shares same birthday as Kevin Steen, that's kind of a cool moment. We got him and then another Canadian, Owen Hart, who was born on May 7th as well. So that's kind of cool, special moment for me. Kevin is always my favorite Ring of Honor guy, and I've seen him in a couple of local shows here in Chicago for AEW. It's a great independent promotion. If you guys haven't checked out AEW Wrestling .com, it's really great promotion. Anyway, with Kevin Steen, it's kind of interesting how Triple H has brought in all these guys like Kenta, Devitt, now Steen. It's obviously shown that Triple H is putting his stamp of how he would like to run the company after Vince is gone, based on what's going on in NXT, and whether this continues or not, or whoever else they bring in throughout the rest of the year. It's really going to beef things up, especially for people that are interested in purchasing the network, maybe just to watch NXT and see those guys do what they do. But for now, I'm just going to take it day by day. We'll see what Steen does. I know he's going to start wrestling in the Performance Center on the 25th of this month. Until that, we don't know what's really going to happen, but it's going to be a fun time to be NXT fan for sure.
Yeah, it really is an interesting time for WWE developmental. And I should have mentioned off the top, if you're watching us via Google Hangout, the question and answer uh, thingy, yeah, the technical term for that is thingy. It is up and running. So if at any time when you're watching, you have a question, you have a comment, you want to chime in, feel free to do that. We have lots to talk about, so we're more than happy to include you in that conversation. So
Hmm.
feel free at any time to give us your thoughts, opinions, whatever you have on your wrestling brain. That said, Ring of Honor, a big week for them. They're going to be in Brooklyn, Field of Honor, a big show for them. Kind of surprised this is not their iPay-per-view, and they're going to do the iPay-per-view September 6th in Toronto. I'm sure technically there's probably some challenges in doing an iPay-per-view from a baseball stadium. That would be my only reason why they would go this route than to put on the Field of Honor card, because I think that's kind of a card where, ROH can indirectly kind of stick it to TNA, because this used
Yeah.
to be their event and now it's ROH's event. I would want to be highlighting that fact and, indirectly bragging about the fact, look, we're here. Oh, and our baseball stadium is full, not like yours down in Kentucky, but ROH has decided to go the different route and put the Toronto All-Star Extravaganza show on iPay-per-view, and they seem to have worked out a way to continue to work with Ustream, which is huge news for them uh, going forward. And also, hopefully New Japan can do the same, because I know a lot of hardcore wrestling fans have been enjoying their product. And Ustream has kept a lot of companies earning some money through iPay-per-view, so real important to the wrestling business what the service they have been providing has been.
hmm it's funny that you brought up shoving it in TNA's face. So like anything you can do, I could do better.
Well, I mean
Triple ten.
that's what it is, though, right? I mean,
Yeah.
oh, by the way, yeah, we've got the guy that you wouldn't give a contract to headlining shows for us
hmm
coming up here August 15th in Brooklyn. He's going to be in the main event going for our title while you guys are doing whatever it is you're doing. I mean, that's kind of an in your face. Oh, by the way, the tag team that you couldn't find anything to do with, yeah, they're challenging for tag team championships on that same show. It's kind of a nice way to say in your face without having to say in your face.
I find it interesting. I know Ring of Honor is with Sinclair Broadcasting, and they're like kind of part of the CW network. If you could get Ring of Honor on the CW on Wednesdays, I'm perfectly fine with the Wednesday Night Wars. Let's see who would actually tune into whether Ring of Honor show on national television or TNA.
It is interesting what Ring of Honor is going to do or is willing to do because being owned by Sinclair, that's kind of a tricky situation with their television. And that's the one thing that I think does hold them back in terms of competing on a level playing field with TNA. But then again, TNA, we might be talking only months of them having that advantage. Once that advantage goes away, I mean, Ring of Honor just by default becomes the second promotion in the wrestling world in North America. Anyway, I think New Japan, most people would say, is the second largest promotion in the world right now, and maybe deservedly so with the type of talent they have had during the G1 and everything. I think that's a fair statement, but that pretty much covers all the, as Vince McMahon would probably say, little promotions. Now we talk about the big,
Wrestling.
yeah, those people doing wrestling. What the hell's that wrestling stuff? Uh, WWE, obviously a big week for them.
Yep.
We had Hulk Hogan's birthday. We had $9.99 on the cake. The WWE still in full begging mode for you
And
to.
9.99 chance. Don't forget
Yes,
that.
yes, they wanted that apparently. Believe it or not, they want fans to chant 9.99.
There was a
Chant
lot of
9.99, not CM Punk, please. Thank you. This has been a message from the WWE.
They'll
Uh,
take that any time of the day.
oh yeah, I mean, chant 9.99. Whoopee. I think everyone knows what the price is. Although here in Canada, I got news for you. It's 11.99. It's not 9.99.
Oh boy.
But that said, and the Canadian rollout has been just as big a disaster, if not as the American, definitely equal to it. Right now in Canada, Josh, for people that are not aware, that do not live in this country, currently only 200,000 people have access to the WWE network,
From Canada,
and
right? This is from
it is not
Canada.
available on the internet. It is not available on Roku. It is not available on anything. It is on TV on a channel that only 200,000 subscribers from Rogers currently can access.
hmm
And they have a whopping, are you ready for this, Josh? A whopping 36 hours of on-demand content. You seem stunned. You have nothing to say by that whopping number
Wow.
of.
Well, at first I thought you were saying they actually had 200,000 subscribers since
No,
launching it
no,
on
no.
Tuesday,
Just
but
200,000 people can view
okay,
a
on the
free
Rock. Okay.
preview of the network right now
hmm
on Rogers. Because one of the things in the scramble for the WWE to do this unplanned international launch,
hmm
see, countries have their own little systems, and just like you have a regulatory body in the States that
Yeah.
regulates television, we do here in Canada as well, and it's called the CRTC. The WWE Network does not have a license in this country to be on broadcast television. They might have thought of that before they decided to, just launch the network out of the blue. Yeah, they have to apply for a license and get one, and that might be a tricky situation because here in Canada we have laws about having Canadian content. Now, you
Um,
can't apply for an exemption to that, but if the WWE doesn't get it, they don't own a lot of Canadian only footage. I think they own Stampede Wrestling, and that's about it.
yeah.
So I don't know how they would ever be compliant with the Canadian laws in that regard. They almost have to get the exception, which is allowed. Like Spike TV is an example of that that we get here in Canada, where they have the exception of they do not have to follow Canadian content rules. But there's a lot of balls still in the air with WWE Network in Canada. Let's put it that way.
It's just I don't know if it's either that or it's just main issues between WWE and Canada in general. Because I mean, they have issues bringing their production trucks there. They have issues bringing some particular superstars there, i.e. Jeff Hardy when he was with the WWE or TNA.
Yeah,
It's
Matt Hardy never appears for ROH in Canada. I wonder why that is.
It's odd. I mean, even some here in the States where they have, okay, you must have filmed in Georgia or filmed in Florida, like they do in NXT, where you have these particular territories where they must have their concession license their area to launch programming for your content or whatever. It's odd, man. It's always been a weird issue with WWE in Canada. It's either they're mad at them for taking Calgary Stampede Wrestling from them. I don't know if that's the issue or not, but
It is
it's messed up.
not. It is not, but we all love Stu Hart, Bret Hart up here in Canada. Yeah. Well, actually, I
and
don't love
Bruce.
Bret. Actually,
And
to be
Bruce.
honest, I love Stu, but I'm not sure I love Bret. But no, I think one of the problems, at least for Toronto, Toronto has been a hotbed for the UFC, and I think they get punished for that. I think
Yeah.
they are punished for that. Although the WWE seems to have no problem with going to Montreal. Why that is, I don't know. I'm not here to answer all these questions. But I do know there was a time when this company was struggling that Canada really was a backbone for the WWE. During the Monday Night Wars, it wasn't much of a war up here in Canada. It was WWE was the thing, mainly because for a long time Nitro wasn't even on television up here, and Raw was running unopposed a lot of the time. And then even when Nitro got here, it was shown days later. It was never shown live.
Hmm.
So this was always a hotbed for WWE. And also, keep in mind all the Canadian stars we've had
Yeah.
during that time period. I mean, you had Bret Hart, you had Edge, you had Christian, you have Chris Jericho, you have like just a ton of guys that were billed from Canada, and even a few that weren't that actually were Canadians, and it 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 was a real stronghold for the WWE in that time period, and I almost feel as a Canadian that the WWE has forsaken my country to some extent, and it kind of ticks me off. That said, the hope is that we have some new Canadian stars. We talked about Kevin Steen being part of the company. Triple H on his Twitter went out of his way to mention the fact that he is Canadian. Sami Zayn is a Canadian. We're starting to get we're starting to get a crop of Canadian talent once again in the WWE, and that probably will be a good thing for the relationship between Canada and the WWE. It remains to be seen.
Yeah.
Obviously, Kevin Steen and Sami Zayn have to make the main roster. That would be first and foremost before we
Yeah.
get talking about their impact on the WWE in Canada.
They don't have WWE Canada out there anymore, right?
No, they got
That
rid of
went
it.
away.
Yeah, they used to have that. They used to have big Carl DeMarco with his glasses and all of that. He is gone. And of course, before that, the de facto president of the World Wrestling Federation, Jack Tunney, who was really, in reality, a local promoter from Toronto that Vince McMahon felt very loyal to because he was one of the first to come over to the WWE and have them coming up to Toronto and promoting their shows and whatnot. So Jack Tunney was, I think even he dates back to not Vince McMahon that we know now, but Vince McMahon's father. So that was a strong relationship. Jack Tunney had job security in that role as the commissioner of the, or no, he was the president. It was the president back then, the
Hmm.
president of the World Wrestling Federation.
The president. Bobby
Yes,
Heenan would complain to him at any chance he had.
he did. He
And
got
and
Tunney
and
over.
Ventura.
They made him seem like a bumbling fool, but by my oh my, he had power. He could
Hmm.
make those Tunney rulings. He's the reason we got to see Randy Savage wrestle again. It
Hmm.
was a Jack Tunney ruling that made that happen. Because when your wife is attacked by a snake, that null and voids any contract you signed for your career in wrestling. Just
I re-
that's a given.
I remember this on Saturday night's main event. Ventura's like, Jack Tunney and the Stooges always going for Hogan, always going for Hogan.
Well, you know what? We've kind of made a interesting transition into SummerSlam, but we are talking about a lot of guys who were a part of the original SummerSlam. Jesse the Body Ventura, the guest referee in that match. Randy
99.
Savage obviously was in the main event of SummerSlam as he got his good buddy Hulkster to come tag with him to face Andre the Giant, the Million Dollar Man.
Yep.
We did get to see the Hulkster this week. He was on Raw for his big birthday bash. I was feeling kind of flat about the whole Hogan involvement in this show until Brock Lesnar came out, and then it got interesting. But
Mhm.
Brock did not kill any of the old wrestlers, including Hogan, which on some level is sad to me.
What sold me on the whole Brock thing was how Eva Marie looked how she was about to faint when he was walking down the ramp. But that was just me.
Yeah,
Even,
I saw some person say he should have destroyed all the presents. And
oh
you know
my
what?
god.
There's something to that. If Brock had have just taken out all those presents except for the one that Dean Ambrose was hiding in, which already was destroyed,
Yeah.
I think that might have been a nice moment to see Brock just tearing away all of the presents. And of course, John Cena is now sporting the Hulkster colors now. Red and
Yeah.
yellow. What's up with that? John Cena. It's the annual John Cena T-shirt change over. Very excited are all the kids about this. I know they circle it on their calendar every year.
Yep. McDonald's is here. McDonald's is
That's
in the
right.
WWE.
McDonald's, Hogan, and John Cena.
and
Strangely enough, those three things do go together.
and it
Um,
and it matches with WrestleMania since the logo for WrestleMania 31 is red. So I'm
well,
forewarning you right now, Hogan and Cena at WrestleMania 31.
oh no, that's not happening. That's Hogan's
All
pipe
right, you
dream.
can tell me that. It's gonna happen.
I don't think so. I think that's Hogan's pipe dream, and it's not going to happen. But what is happening is SummerSlam. Obviously, Brock and John Cena is your main event.
Yep.
I felt this match was sold the night after Battleground. Paul Heyman cut that promo. We didn't even need John Cena there.
Yep.
I was convinced. I wanted to see this match, and nothing they have done has dissuaded me from feeling the same way. In fact, they've increased my interest in this match, and I think everyone in the world thinks Brock Lesnar is going to win this match. And if he doesn't, I think it's a huge mistake because of what he now represents. And John Cena cannot be the one that beats the one that
Hmm.
ended the streak. That just can't happen. If it does, it's a major mistake in my view because the WWE, they're in star making mode right now. They're trying to build their next generation of superstars,
Yeah.
and one of those guys needs that. And obviously, the choice that most people have right now is Roman Reigns, who his match with Randall Orton has really
Randall.
been pushed to the background. I don't hear a lot of people talking about it or caring about it. It's all about Brock and Cena, and it's about Stephanie and Brie, quite honestly.
You know, I got to thank three people for this thing. One, Paul Heyman. Two, the marketing team. I mean, even if you're looking on ESPN.com, you see ads for Brock and Cena or Yahoo Sports. And then three, the production people that have been making the incredible video packages over the last couple of weeks. I don't know if you've seen the special they did for Brock and Cena on Monday on the network things, but if you guys haven't seen it, it's 30 minutes. It's really well worth it. It's kind of different from what they've shown on Raw. They added some different clips and interviews, but I mean, you even talk about Reigns and Orton being the back burner. It's kind of the way to say how good the card is for this Sunday because not only you can see Reigns and Orton being on the back burner, people could say Jericho and Wyatt are on the back burner. AJ and Paige are in the back burner. There's a lot of good, interesting matches that people are looking forward to seeing in SummerSlam.
Yeah, but I think there's been a proper build to all the matches.
Yeah,
It's
there's
just,
something you want to see with each one of them.
but that's something WWE hasn't always done in the past,
Yeah, I
where
know.
the the lesser angles, even if you go to an angle like we've had with Dolph Ziggler and Josh needs more FaceTime with his typing because it's getting him on camera.
Yes, here we go.
But even a few like Brock or sorry, like Dolph and the Miz, there's a little bit of a story into this. I mean, there's a reason if you want to take it to buy into being interested in this match. I mean, arguably you have the most loved guy on the internet versus the most hated guy on the internet. I think that that's the angle here
Mhm.
without an angle. But
Yeah.
every match has been given its fair share of time
Oh,
and due to sell it, and I think really at the end of the day it falls on the performers involved in those angles to where they find themselves as far as interest level goes heading into SummerSlam, with the exception of Stephanie and Brie, because I think with Stephanie McMahon in the match, it was always going to be pushed as bigger than it is.
yeah. Hmm.
And I almost think deservedly so. I mean, we haven't seen Stephanie in a ring in over a decade. I think that's a big deal. I think her performance in this feud has been out of this world. Brie
Yep.
Bella, on the other hand, I'm not as convinced, and I think this has really hurt her standing in the company more than it's helped it.
Hmm. You know what I found interesting about this show is, you know, more with the network, you don't have to worry about time constraints. They could add more time if they want for the show to last. So I think this particular SummerSlam is going to be more wrestling heavy than the others I've seen in the last 5 years without the pomp and circumstances. You don't really have a lot of gimmick stipulations made besides Rusev and Swagger, but it's going to be a fun wrestling show, and I think that's what's intriguing to people to watch the show this Sunday.
Oh, we don't have gimmicks? I differ with
And
you,
a
sir.
lumberjack.
Yes, there is a lumberjack match happening that makes no sense at all. Thankfully, the two guys in it will put on a heck of a match, no matter what stipulation you saddle them with
Yeah,
Dean Ambrose.
Kano Hell in the Cell match, they could make it good.
No, they can do anything good. Like I mean, Dean and Seth are great wrestlers, and I think they can pull off whatever you put in front of them. That said, this was the match that everyone wanted to see at Battleground that they got robbed from them,
Hmm.
and now they've kind of stuck them with this, you know, old '80s kind of a thing that I don't know. I'm just not into it. And the fact that Seth holds that briefcase and Dean Ambrose had all the control of making this match. Am I left to believe that Dean Ambrose doesn't care about being WWE champion because he didn't want the briefcase? That has a contract in it that can get you a shot at the world champion. I would think that every single person on this roster of the male variety would want that contract because WWE, to the best of my knowledge, other than Stephanie, no female has competed for the WWE title.
It's funny to me because I finally made my comments for our article for Between the Ropes for our SummerSlam, and what I said on it was about, okay, let's say they did have the match at Battleground, right? What it would have been, a no contest or double disqualification? Because after since Rollins has been out of the Shield, Dean Ambrose doesn't care about winning matches. He runs after Seth Rollins every time he's on TV. It would have been nothing more than a brawl at Battleground. Now, would it be a good brawl? I'm not questioning that, of course. It'd be fun and entertaining. But even with this lumberjack stipulation, yeah, it kind of makes sense with their history with the Shield, taking out the whole roster, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, you could bring up the Great Khali, and it takes an hour for him to walk to the ring. You could drag Zack Ryder from catering to be on the show finally. And, I mean, yeah, okay, is it the stipulation everybody wants to see? No. But this is a pro wrestling storyline. I actually think the storyline could last the whole year. Are we going to get stuff that we're always going to like? No. But I mean, with what they're doing with Ambrose chasing Rollins every single week, the lumberjack makes sense. He has nowhere to hide, and it's just gonna be a brawl anyway. So if you're expecting a 5-star classic for these guys, it's not the time right now. It's gonna build over time as we get through the year, but it's not gonna be right now.
This one's going to end in a DQ, though, too. I think that's fairly obvious.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, breaking news here in Canada. We no longer get NXT early thanks
Oh
to the
no.
WWE Network. Now, we get main event a day late at 8 o'clock. I am not amused
Oh,
by this at all.
by the way, watch Seth Rollins and Kofi Kingston. A very, very good match.
Well, that'll be coming up here eventually. I don't normally watch main event because it's on the network. And obviously I'd have to do some work to get the network up here. But that said, whatever. I got distracted by my television. I
Mm-hmm.
apologize. We went through a bunch of the matches, touching on here and there, but I think the one thing going back to the Stephanie Bree thing,
Okay.
this whole idea of what they did on Monday, I thought was awful.
Yeah.
Why all of a sudden is Daniel Bryan back in the storyline, and now do we see him at SummerSlam? And I don't think we should have, but now you're putting it out there kind of that we just might. I mean, this man does care about his marriage, does he not? Apparently, he's been accused of infidelity by Stephanie McMahon, and Brie, we are led to believe, believed her, which is kind of comical in a way. I mean, I just didn't like this week.
Mm.
I was sold on this feud last week when we talked.
Yeah.
I still want to see it, but I think they took away from it this week. They didn't build on it.
Yeah, they didn't really need to go that route. I mean, look at how many times Vince McMahon has banned Stone Cold Steve Austin out of arenas, and he's found a way to come back and stuff. I mean, you could even done that with her, since the fact Stephanie did pedigree not just her but her sister the week prior. I would have been perfectly fine with that. That's kind of the thing where, okay, we got something working, but we feel like we need to take it to the next level, but just you should just left it as it was already. And I don't know. I wasn't for it on Monday. Doesn't change the fact that I'm not interested in this match. I am interested in this match, but I would have went the route of having Stephanie ban Brie from the show. Kind of do a twin magic thing. You have Stephanie against Nikki Bella on Raw, and then they do a twin magic thing, and it's Brie, and then there you go.
Yeah, but there's an obvious reason we can't do twin magic anymore.
Yeah,
John Cena knows what that reason is, by the way.
yeah. Don't we wish y'all could see that?
Yeah, yeah. Total Divas season 1. I recommend Nikki as the naughty nurse caring for John Cena during his time of injury. Interesting television if you're into Nikki Bella. Well, let's just leave it at that. I'm also questioning before we leave Stephanie and Brie.
Hmm.
I was pretty convinced that we were going to have a Nikki heel turn as part of this. I'm not as convinced anymore.
You're not.
No, just because she took the pedigree and how do you logically explain Stephanie pedigreeing Nikki and Nikki siding with Stephanie? I'm interested to see the WWE explain that to me if that is the route we actually go.
Because remember, James, it's what's best for business.
Well,
But
no,
no,
but that's kind of like, remember when TNA started that whole Aces and Eights angle,
yeah,
and Bully Ray all of a sudden joined, and they had to go back and explain all these illogical things?
yeah,
This is one step of that to me.
yeah. And I was at that show too.
There you go.
That
What
show
Bully Ray
too.
was explaining it all?
Yeah,
Wow, that's great.
yeah.
Um,
But
so anyway, but
Well,
you know
piggyback what you
that,
were saying with the whole Nikki heel turn thing. If they did the Stephanie and Nikki match like I brought up a couple of minutes ago, then that would kind of work because the Bell Twins made a plan to get a way to get Brie back in the building, and then it has more spotlight on her again, and then Nikki feels she's being left-sided or jaded or whatever, and then she could attack Brie at SummerSlam. Either way,
ulti-
I don't know
ultimately,
why Triple H is on the side of Stephanie in this match. Can
who
somebody tell me
knows?
that?
Ultimately, though, I think this has become a test drive for a Stephanie versus AJ Lee WrestleMania match. That remains to be seen. We'll
Yeah.
see how it goes.
Right, Tom?
Yeah, I think it would be great. I think it's an awesome idea. We'll see if the WWE follows up on it.
Let's see if
But
AJ's a little bit creative though in their pipe bomb.
yeah, well, it plays
Mm-hmm.
that line between reality and
Mm-hmm.
what isn't reality very nicely, and it addresses those people that make those CM Punk chants in a way. If you go AJ versus Stephanie, and it would be interesting. Let's just say that. I don't know if the WWE would want to go in that direction, but we'll see. The direction they're going right now with AJ is her ongoing feud with Paige, which the one thing I am very angry and upset about. I don't care if it's for an angle. I don't care if it's for anything. Maybe it's just the WWE working me, but AJ Lee should never have been pinned by Eva Marie in any circumstances ever. And the fact that she beat the hell out of her after did make me feel better,
Mm-hmm.
but it did not change the fact that you had an inferior wrestler pin who is arguably your best wrestler in the company in a match, which I was not a fan of. And, oh, by the way, AJ Lee's supposed to be your babyface, and she's beating the hell out of some girl just because she lost the match. That's not how baby faces are supposed to act. And heels aren't exactly supposed to act how Paige is acting. I'm very confused by this feud. I think ultimately the fact that Paige has gone heel is the right move for her. Because
Yeah.
that girl was dying a fast death as a
Amber
baby
Creed
face.
Saber.
She needed a heel turn badly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what we get out of this match. I'm almost inclined to say Paige has to win this match because if she doesn't, I don't know where the feud goes after that. I think the feud is going to continue. I don't think the WWE has a new opponent on the horizon for AJ Lee.
It's weird. I agree with everything you're saying. I just think this match is gonna be one of those matches where you get your kabuki-ish finish, a double count out, or a double disqualification, so it moves forward to Night of Champions and stuff. But man, it must have been a hard week for you. Not only you get to see the stellar match with her against Bailey on NXT, but Eva Marie beats AJ on Raw.
I had forgot about that. Thanks, Josh. I had totally forgot about that whole Bailey experience,
uh,
which that wasn't good for Bailey either.
hmm
I mean, Bailey down in NXT actually had to like legitimately give up offense to Eva Marie, which
That's the
really
number
AJ
one
didn't.
contender match, though, for
Yeah,
Charlotte.
yeah, she's the number one contender for. Well, I think we're doing a spoiler when we say that, but Bailey is going to eventually be your number one contender for Charlotte's NXT title, and we'll see that match coming up in September at the big event for NXT. But that said, I don't know. One thing that I do find a little bit disappointing
Yeah.
as Josh readjusts his world there in Chicago.
Mhm.
One thing I do find disappointing is the fact no Usos on this SummerSlam card, and I think they had the best match at Battleground.
Yeah, it's weird. I guess it's that great Colt Cabana show. Creative has nothing for you.
No, you know what it is? Don't be John Cena's friend. It never works out well. Ask
Um,
anyone who's tried to be.
you're gonna pull that card now.
Yeah,
You're gonna
it
pull that
always ends.
card.
It ends badly. Look at the history of his friends. Things do not go well for them in the company.
Oh man. Yeah.
Don't
Well,
be John Cena's friend. Don't be Hulk Hogan's friend. These are lessons to learn in professional wrestling. Don't be friends
with John Cena.
with the top guy. It never ends well.
Don't.
And to their credit, Roman Reigns has not been John Cena's friend. And I think that is the absolute correct way to handle him. His match with Randy Orton, we touched on it. No one's excited about it. I think there's no question Roman wins this match. I
I'm,
mean, he's
I'm,
got to, and he moves on, I guess, to face Triple H. That would be the plan. If the WWE gets crazy, is he the guy that faces Brock Lesnar at Night of Champions? I think that would be a huge mistake. But they're in full panic mode. Anything is possible with the WWE trying to save their network, which, did you know, Josh, costs $9.99?
so it's not $10.
No, $9.99.
Um, you know, thinking back to the Randy Orton Reigns thing, I'm interested because it's the eye test for me for Roman Reigns when it comes to a major pay-per-view match, especially with the guys. Say what you want about Randy Orton, but if you can't have a good, solid 10-minute match with Randy Orton, I don't care who you are, you should not be considered in the next echelon of next guys for the WWE.
But, there was those rumors floating around that Randy was kind of sandbagging Roman, and that was going on behind the scenes. Who knows if that's true?
Mm-hmm.
But if that is the case, then Randy Orton isn't going to be the test. I've always thought the test for Roman Reigns is quite simple. He's going to get in there with Triple H. And Triple H is the guy that makes the decisions, and he's going to have a match with him, and he's going to be convinced one way or the other if Roman Reigns is really that guy and how soon he is that guy. I think that match will determine a lot for Roman Reigns. He has a lot on the line in a one-on-one contest with Triple H.
Believe that.
Yeah,
did
believe that. And that's a shoot, not a work. I mean, Roman Reigns will most likely win the match with Triple H, but how he performs in the match will be evaluated close up. Basically, working with your boss. I mean, we've got that in the Stephanie and Brie thing too. That's a lot of pressure, and Brie Bella has clearly crumbled under that pressure. I like Roman Reigns' chances a lot better working with his boss in Triple H.
Did you see Roman Reigns hit LeBron James with the steel chair? Did you see
Yeah,
that video?
we don't get that show up here, but I heard about it. Yeah, actually hit Manziel too, didn't he?
Yeah,
No
Johnny
love for Roman
Manziel,
Reigns in
Lance,
Cleveland.
Lance Stevenson, and LeBron.
There you go. No love for Roman Reigns in Cleveland. Book him against The Miz, and maybe someone will actually cheer The Miz.
Lance Stevenson was trying to blow in his ear, and then he gave him the Superman punch.
There you go. Roman Reigns. That's the thing about Roman Reigns. The one thing about Roman Reigns, people question his mic skills within the WWE system, but I've heard this guy do media before a lot of times. He did it with Brian Fritz from Between the Ropes, where we both work, and a great interview with Brian. But just everywhere that I've seen this guy comes off really well in those settings. I mean, he comes off as genuine, engaging, and really gets it as far as that goes. And I think that goes a long way for a guy that you want to make the face of the company. Because let's face it, John Cena is out there on Front Street for everything the WWE does.
Yeah.
And like him or not, have your issues with him or not, he does do that part of his job very well. He is the corporate face of that company and does it tremendously. That's saying that corporate face is likely to get rearranged by Brock Lesnar,
Yeah.
and in the build up to this match, I almost feel like Brock Lesnar could commit a homicide on the WWE network for $9.99, and we're all going to get to watch because literally that's how they built this up. This almost isn't a wrestling match. They booked it as, well, they're using the actual tagline, the biggest fight of the summer, and this has had a real UFC feel to it, and they have had the good fortune of, there was a bigger fight that was on the horizon in the UFC between John Jones and Daniel Cormier, and
Yeah.
I was actually interested in the contrast between the two. But Triple H, even though I didn't agree with his comments about the UFC being competition, one of the points that he made has come to pass here.
Yep.
The WWE has a much better grip on managing their talent being injured
Hmm.
and actually being able to put on their matches. Now, wrestlers get hurt too, but it seems to happen a lot more in MMA than it does in pro wrestling. And wrestling fans are going to get their match as long as, some reporter doesn't insult Brock Lesnar in
Yeah.
Los Angeles and he kills him. We are going to get the match on Sunday.
Yeah.
Uh, and there is something to that. I mean, UFC has had many of their fights that people would look forward to get canceled, and some of them, just don't live up to the hype. The WWE, love them or hate them, are always at least attempting to entertain us. Whether we agree with it or not is a whole other question, but the attempt is made. Like, we know we are getting 20 to 25 minutes of Brock Lesnar versus John Cena as we sit here on a Thursday and the match is on a Sunday. If I go to tune in to watch a Ronda Rousey fight, I have no idea what's going to happen. Ronda Rousey, her last fight, won in 25 seconds. Now, was that entertaining? Was that exciting? Hell yes, it was. But sometimes it isn't. Sometimes it doesn't turn out to be the exciting fight that people hoped. In the WWE, at least, they have some control, and, you know, it's all in their hands whether we enjoy the product or not.
Yeah, I found an interesting quote that Stephanie McMahon had in the interview she did. She said, kind of like the same that Triple H said, but also that, okay, we have these guys that are in these pay-per-view matches. Whether you like the finish or the decisions they make for that particular show, it's subjective. And that says, um, that's how she feels about the WWE compared to UFC. Whether you like what they do or not, it's subjective. But when you come to UFC, you pay $70 for a pay per view and you get a 10-second fight. Well, that's where you go. You got to deal with it.
And, I guess Stephanie's also saying Dana White does not put smiles on people's faces like she does.
Well, he also doesn't have an anti-bully campaign
Does not. But yet Stephanie,
either.
ironically, has been a bully. I mean,
Um,
that's what she's been. She's been a bully. Be a star, Stephanie. Actually, I think she has been a star. She has been phenomenal, and we've talked about her way too much on this hour, but I'm sorry. I am a fan. And
You're a mark.
Stephanie now, we're going to even close out with Stephanie. Why not? She has her own merchandise now, and in the spirit of her brother Shane, I love it
Get
because
down
she has,
tonight.
yeah, she's got her own, like, Daniel Bryan shirt, and
Oh,
instead of yes, 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 it is Steph, Steph, Steph. And then the logo on the back is some Daniel Bryan logo. That has been taken out with Triple H's emblem over top of it. I mean, brilliant. And they're actually selling this.
mhm.
Now, I was trying to think of this. Maybe you remember this this and I don't. When Shane had all his shirts that were like that, did they sell them or did he just have it? They didn't sell them.
No, they just he wore it to on the shows. He never then it was never on the shop.
You
But
see, that would have been brilliant marketing at the time. And I'm pleased that they're selling Stephanie shirts. Obviously, they had all these Daniel Bryan shirts that they hadn't printed yet, and they're not really sure when he's coming back. This is a heck of a way to try and use them. I give them that.
are you gonna get the shirt?
I don't know. I haven't got a WWE shirt in a long time, and I tend to. This is me. I tend to want to support the independent guys who are not making those big WWE dollars. Like I'd much rather get an Adam Cole shirt or a Young Bucks shirt or that sort of thing. But I admit I'm tempted, although I don't like Daniel Bryan's color scheme. So in the end, I'm probably not going to do it. But if they come out with more Stephanie shirts, I will be tempted again.
You
Let's
never
put it
know,
that way.
man. This might be the last time I see her in in-ring action. So
No, I
you're
think
on
we see
market
her.
for her. So get
No,
it.
WrestleMania. It's going to happen. I have a dream to
I
see
have a dream.
AJ Lee and Stephanie McMahon at WrestleMania, and by God, it's going to happen. Well,
My
maybe
God,
not. But I still have a dream, Josh.
it could
That's it.
happen. You know, I wanted to see CM Punk against Triple H. That was one of the dream matches I wanted to see because I wanted to see another promo for Punk, and that didn't happen. So
Well, they did
hopefully,
have it, though. They fought in
no, I
Buffalo one
wanted it for
time.
WrestleMania though.
Yeah, well, you never know. Anyway, so we're just about out of time. Someone's asking us if wrestling's fake. No, go look at someone's back
Yeah,
after they've been in a match. Or Roman Reigns, we've talked about him on this show. Uh, you know what? Roman Reigns is proof wrestling is real. I mean, he had that big cut over his eye that he had stitched up. He had the staples in his head. No, it's real. And
that's
I
straws.
recommend the person that asked that question, go find Brock Lesnar. Ask him the same question.
That's
And we pray for your health.
Ash Strauss is in a wheelchair because he's paralyzed.
Yeah,
That's all I got to
really.
say.
I shouldn't have acknowledged it, but I just
Yeah.
had to because, I mean, it's one of those things. So even if you ask a stupid question, we approve to you. We will address it on this program. And with that said, we're out of time for this week. Check out all our great in-depth previews for SummerSlam on the website. I have been banging them out at an alarmingly quick rate. We got 5 down. I think there's about 3 more matches to go. And probably why I was talking so much Stephanie, that was one of the ones I did today, Stephanie versus Brie. So go on kindaonthemoon.com, check that out. Josh, myself, and all the rest of the crew at Between the Ropes will have our predictions, and they will be out, I believe, Friday with all the predictions from that show. So that is about it. We are
All right.
done. Josh, a much easier show this week because I was having trouble hearing you last week, but this week we seem to have all the technical stuff down, and good show.
Yeah, man, I had a great time, man. Thanks for having me on. Enjoy SummerSlam, and can't wait for next week, man.
We will be back, and we'll tell you what we liked and what we didn't like about SummerSlam. And don't forget, tomorrow, no guests on the show this week. It is myself and Chris Walder talking more about SummerSlam and whatever's going on in Chris Walder's life, which is some strange stuff sometimes. But we'll get into it
Walter
on the
Mania.
pod. We'll get into it on the podcast tomorrow. Some in-depth thoughts on the Raptor uniforms, I'm sure. Chris Walder will have an opinion on that, as do I. But we are done for this video show, so thanks for joining us. And if you're watching post facto, we do this live every Thursday, 7:30 to 8:30. Come by and say hello and ask us a better question than if wrestling is fake. Thanks.